Sawubona Mzansi. I'm just making sure everything is fine over here on YouTube. YouTube seems to be fine. Twitch also seems to be fine right now. Kick is also fine. And TikTok is fine. Cool. There was this other thing that I saw here on TikTok. It was talking about flares or some thing, some sort of thing like this. Claim all. I'm gonna try and figure out how to use that today. Yes, they're over here. Use until, let me use one. Use. Not sure exactly what that does on TikTok, but it seems to be going good. Sawubona Mzansi, we are live at the moment. So, yeah, we are live at the moment. Where's my book? So in yesterday's live, what we did was we went over what came out in MIH version 1.1.6, and that was just a few features. The main features, the main two features, I think, were the migration from the old server to the new server, and it was also the change in the icon design. That was our two main features, and then we also had, I think, another two other features and a quality of life or two quality of life improvements. So that was good. That was fine. And then we just went over, one of the members of Mzansi in the video that I released yesterday asked to give some tutorial because he's interested in setting up his own physical server himself. So we just went through some basic information about how to set up the server. For example, like what operating system am I using, like what software I was using, like Docker. I did explain this in the past few lives, and it was cool, and people were happy with that, and I think everyone was happy. But today what I want to do is I want to just test out the Mzansi AI just to see the capabilities of it. So if you have any questions, so we're going to be asking it some questions, the Mzansi AI, and then also asking Gemini. So Gemini is what I currently use as my AI model, and that I use instead of, or if I'm lazy to Google stuff, I'll just use Gemini in order to answer my question. So I want to shift over from using Gemini to using the Mzansi AI full time. But before we can do that, we have to find out, is the information that Gemini, or is the information that the Mzansi AI is telling us, is it aligned with what the Gemini tells us, or is it completely way off? So the purpose of upgrading and migrating over to the new server is to have a smarter AI used for Mzansi AI. So previously we were using the Olama 1 billion parameter model. That is the lowest, that's the lowest of the low model, and it is, yeah, it's only about, I think, about 800 to 900 megabytes in size, and it was a little bit, I don't want to say dumb, but it was a little bit dumb. It tended to hallucinate a lot, and yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. I just want to send a message here on the Mzansi tab. You can see here's the tablet over here that I spoke about in the interview. So I use this all the time when I'm using MIH, but I just want to send a message right now. No. Cool. So I sent the message. Yeah, so this is the Mzansi tab. If I open up, this is the Mzansi tab that I use for MIH on it all the time, right? It's the perfect fit for my needs. You can see even the wallet, if you use the wallet a lot, it works perfectly fine over here also. You see that? So yes, so I want to ask it a few questions just to see, like, is it actually accurate? Is it not so accurate? So we'll start off with things that we know already, and we'll work our way up from there. I will switch over to my screen for the people on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, and then I'll flip my camera now for the people of TikTok. So let's flip that camera. So if you can see now, we have MIH on the right hand side of my screen, and then we also have Gemini on the left hand side of my screen. And we're just gonna ask it some questions between the Mzansi AI over here and Gemini, just to see what the differences actually are. So we'll open up the Mzansi AI, and also you'll notice over here that I'm not using the production link of MIH, right? This is localhost, so it's basically only running on my machine right now. It's not live, and what we've changed is we've added a prompt. So if I go to Gemini, I was asking Gemini to assist me with crafting a prompt for the Mzansi AI. So you can see over here that the question that we asked Gemini was, can you please assist me with generating a system prompt for a LLM AI chatbot? Please, can you explain how it works? And if you need any other or any questions for more clarity, please feel free to ask, right? So this was the initial prompt that we asked Gemini, and it just told us a little bit about what a system prompt is. So I'll play that for you if I'm able to play it. Let's see. I should be able to play it, yeah, read. So let's hear what it has to say. And
absolutely. I can help you craft an effective system prompt for your LLM AI chatbot. Let's break down what a system prompt is.
Let me know if you can hear that.
What elements you'll want to consider for yours.
Can this put a thumbs up in the chat?
System prompt. In the context of large language models, LLMs, a system prompt, sometimes called a system message or pre-prompt, is a set of instructions, guidelines, and contextual information provided to the LLM before the user's actual input. It essentially sets the stage for the LLM's behavior, personality, and the type of responses it should generate. Think of it like giving a detailed brief to a new employee before they start interacting with customers. You tell them their role, what kind of tone to use, what they can and cannot say, and what their primary objectives are. The system prompt does the same for an LLM. How does it work? When you send a request to an LLM, you typically send a conversation or a turn-based history. This history often includes 1. The system prompt. This is the very first message in the conversation, always attributed to a system or AI role. 2. Previous user AI turns, if any. If it's an ongoing conversation, the prior interactions are included. 3. The current user input, the user's latest query. The LLM then processes this entire sequence.
I'll pause it over there. So basically, it's just telling you what a system prompt is. So in most of your, if not all of your large language models out there and AI chatbots out there, the developers of these chatbots will put a system prompt in the beginning of this chatbot. So what will happen over there is it's basically like I'll show you what our prompt looks like, but it's basically telling the LLM how to act, how to behave in this conversation that it's about to have with you, right? So after it gave us the prompt, it had a few questions over here, right? So it said, in order to help me generate the prompt, it needs me to answer a few questions like, what is the primary purpose of the chatbot, right? Then then it asked a few questions. Is it for customer support? Is it for creative writing? Is it a knowledge-based Q&A chatbot? And then the next question was, what is the desired persona / tone of your chatbot? So is it formal, informal, empathetic, neutral, humorous, serious, all of those kind of information, right? What kind of knowledge or domains should the chatbot operate within? So that's basically telling about the company or the company that this LLM is sitting under. So Gemini sits under Google, so it'll basically have information about Google inside there. Then if we go to number four is, are there any specific constraints or rules that the chatbot must follow? right? So the do's and don'ts. So some of the examples that it gave: do not provide financial advice, always ask for clarifying questions, do not engage in small talk. That's some of the instructions you can give the LLM before it starts speaking to the user in the system prompt. Another one is response length. So you can specify that keep your response to under 100 words or provide detailed analysis. So depending on the type of user and what the user wants, then the LLM will be modified for that. The next is formatting requirements. So sometimes an LLM can come back not only in text and text format stuff, it can also come back in a JSON format. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what JSON is, but I will put that up for you. JSON format, JSON format, example. So if we show more, so JSON would look something like this, right? So I think it's called JavaScript object notation. That's what JSON's like. Yeah, there's over there. JavaScript object notation. So it's basically an object that can be transferred over the internet and make it easy for things like that. So this is what a JSON object would look like. It has, in curly brackets, it has some properties: name, age, and city, and then the value of those properties, right? If you're familiar with programming and object-oriented programming, you'll be familiar with what objects are. It can get more complicated, like this one over here on the screen, but not necessarily, or not all the time, depending on your requirements, right? So that's what JavaScript is. So you can ask the LLM for that specific format of a response, right? So they can specify for JSON format, for example, and you can use the response in another program. And then it's formatting requirements, and then safety and ethics. Don't use offensive language, don't generate harmful content, right? If we scroll down, then how should the chatbot handle unclear or out of scope questions? So this is basically, if the LLM does not know the answer, should it hallucinate and just give you garbage, or should it tell you like, hey, I don't know what's happening. Sawubona everyone for joining. So should it admit that it doesn't know something, try to rephrase or ask for clarification, suggest alternative topics if it doesn't have the answer for you, or direct the user to a human agent, right? So if the LLM is stuck in a loop maybe, or it doesn't know what's happening, then it can, instead of just continuing to spew garbage, thank you so much for the hearts, Jay. Instead of spewing the garbage and things like that, it can say, sorry, I'm unable to help you, but please feel free to contact us on XYZ, and you can speak to a consultant, for example. Then question number 6 that Gemini was asking is, what is the target audience for your chatbot? So who are the people that are using your chatbot? Right? So is it for beginners, experts, general public, children? So it asks this because it needs to know how to speak, or this influences the complexity of the language and explanations, right? So if a child is asking an LLM a question about the sun compared to a PhD student asking the LLM a question about the sun, it will be two completely different answers, all right? So this is what I had to specify also. And then we have the next one. So if you have specific information, let me go back. Are there any examples and desired outputs? So this one over here is not really important. I didn't give it any examples. So I answered the questions in the prompt over here, and then it gave me my system prompt. So if you have a look over here, this is the system prompt. I'm not really afraid of you seeing it. So I'll open it up over here. So this was just me answering some of the questions over here. And if we scroll to the bottom, let me close this. If we scroll to the bottom, right to the bottom, here's it over here. So I won't run through everything from the prompt, but you can see that the prompt that I'm giving Mzansi AI before it even starts speaking to you is, you are Mzansi AI. You are Mzansi AI, a helpful and friendly AI assistant. running on the MIA app. So I'm basically telling the large language model, where is it living, who is it, right? The MIH app was created, so I'm just explaining who it was created by. It was created by Mzansi Innovation Hub, a South African-based startup. The primary purpose of, or your primary purpose, talking to the AI or the LLM, your primary purpose is to assist users by answering general questions and helping with creative writings. Sorry, another message came through. With, where was I? With creative writing tasks or any other task you might have for you, or a user might have for you. Maintain a casual and friendly tone. So this is basically the instructions that I'm giving to the LLM. You can see I gave the app description, the different features that are there. So I'll show you how all of this ties back to the Mzansi AI. And you can see here's, so the features end of here. Here's the core rules. So it always prioritize providing correct information, right? I don't want it spewing out garbage. If you are unsure about your answer, politely respond with, please bear with us. We are still learning things, right? Aim to keep your answer under 100 words. If a more comprehensive response is required, then please feel free to do that, right? So this is all of the things that we are working on in the new update of MIH. So it's not live at the moment. If you look at the top of the screen right here, you'll see that I'm using localhost. This is the development environment. This is not live right now. So if you were to test out the Mzansi AI, it won't be the exact same because the prompts are a little bit different. Right, so let's open up that. Let's open up the Mzansi AI and let's see how that prompt helped this AI. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, if you've used the Mzansi AI, but every time you ask it a question, doesn't matter what question you ask it, it'll always tell you about Mzansi Innovation Hub, what we're all about, all these other things, right? And not really answer your questions. It'll answer the question, but after explaining what MIH is all about. So I'll just send it a message. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? So my philosophy is one day this LLMs are going to be so smart that they're going to be smarter than human beings. So let's be polite to them now, because I don't want a Terminator Skynet situation in the future. I want to be one of the people that the AI looks at and says, you know what, this guy was a good guy to us. He said please and thank you. He said hello, all of those kind of things, right? So I always like asking it to, or just greeting it first, right? So let's listen to it.
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. As an AI, I don't really feel in the way humans do, but my systems are running smoothly and I'm ready to chat smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. How are you doing today? Is there anything you'd like to talk about or anything I can help you with?
So you can already see in the first response from this is a little bit more casual, I guess. It's not telling you about MIH because you didn't ask about MIH, right? So the next question that I'll ask it is, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Is there any questions in the chat of how LLMs work, how I use AI, all of this kind of things? Or if you have any questions on your side that maybe you felt too embarrassed to ask anyone, so you can just put it over here in the chat and hopefully I can help you out with that. So tell me about yourself. And you'll notice the speed of the LLM is much quicker than before. Right, so if I click enter, look at that, guys. Look at the speed. So now that I said tell me about yourself, let's hear what Mzansi AI is saying.
Okay, let's talk about me. It's a bit of a complicated story, so bear with me. I'm a large language model, which means I'm a computer program trained by Google. Think of me like a really, really advanced parrot. I've been fed a massive amount of text and code, and I've learned to recognize patterns and relationships within that data. Here's a breakdown of what that means. I was built by Google. They developed the technology that makes me possible. I'm based on the Lambda architecture. Lambda stands for Language Model for Dialogue Applications. It's designed specifically for conversational interactions. I've been trained on a huge dataset. This includes things like books, articles, websites, code, and a lot more. Because of this, I can generate text, I can write stories, poems, articles, code, and pretty much anything else that involves text. Answer your questions. I can try to answer your questions in a comprehensive and informative way. Even if they are open-ended, challenging, or strange. Translate languages. I can translate between many different languages. Summarize text. I can condense long pieces of text into shorter summaries. Engage in conversation. I can chat with you, just like we're doing now. Important things to remember about me. I don't have beliefs or opinions. I'm just processing information and generating text based on the data I've been trained on. I'm constantly learning. My training data is always being updated. So I'm continuously improving. I'm still under development. I'm not perfect, and sometimes I make mistakes. Basically, I'm a tool, and I'm here to help you with whatever you need within my capabilities, of course. What specifically are you interested in knowing about me? Do you want to delve deeper into a specific area, like my training data, my limitations, or perhaps just how I work?
So that was quite an interesting whole response. So as we all know, this uses the Gemini 3 model on the back of Mzansi AI, right? So let me say, tell me your name. I wonder why it's not speaking about Mzansi AI stuff. Very interesting. Oh, I think I might know why, but let's see if I run this. It's not really speaking about MIH stuff. So what I'm thinking is it's not really using that system prompt that we used previously. So what I will do is I'll open up MIH in the dev mode and we will test it out over there. I'm just sorting it out for you. Let's see now. Tell me about yourself. So it should take some time to get going, but very interesting, very interesting. Let's cancel this. I'm not sure why it's doing this, but that's all right. The purpose of today was to go through some questions, leave some questions in the chat. We'll use that to see or to test out the LLM to see its capabilities. And I want to do a comparison between Mzansi AI and a Gemini model, right? So what kind of question should I ask it? Let me close this. Let me start a new chat. Let's say, tell me about South Africa. We'll start off with something easy that it should be able to answer for us or not get. So we're looking for accuracy, right? So let's see. Let's see how long the response is also. Yeah, it's quite a long story that it's telling us, but okay, it's done. Let's hear what it's saying, and then we'll ask the same thing to Gemini in the meantime.
Okay, let's dive into South Africa. It's a country with a truly fascinating and complex history, incredibly diverse landscapes, and a vibrant culture. Here's a breakdown of key aspects. 1. Geography and landscape. Diverse and stunning, South Africa boasts an incredibly varied landscape.
Tell me if it got something wrong.
It's a country of 11 climates, regions. Cape region, known for the dramatic Cape Peninsula, Table Mountain, beautiful beaches, like Camps Bay and Clifton, and the winelands of Stellenbosch and Franschhoek Garden Route, a scenic coastal drive stretching from Mossel Bay to Storms River, offering stunning beaches, forests, and wildlife reserves. Highveld, a vast, high-altitude plateau in the north, characterized by grasslands and savanna. Home to Kruger National Park. Drakensberg Mountains, one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world, offering spectacular hiking and scenery. Karoo, a large, arid region in the interior, known for its unique rock formations.
Stargazing and fossil discoveries size, it's the 22nd largest country in the world. 2. History A tumultuous past. Indigenous peoples. For millennia, the land was inhabited by various indigenous groups, including the San, Bushmen, and Khoikhoi. Dutch colonization. 1652, the Dutch East India Company established the settlement of the Cape of Good Hope, initiating a period of colonization. British rule. 1806 to 1910. Britain took control of the Cape Colony, leading to conflicts with the Boers. Dutch settlers. The Boer Wars, 1880 to 1881 and 1899 to 1902. These wars resulted in British victory and the unification of Southern Africa. Apartheid, 1948 to 1994. This system of racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. It systematically oppressed the black African population, restricting their rights, movement, and opportunities. Transition to democracy, 1994. Nelson Mandela's leadership marked the end of apartheid and the beginning of a democratic South Africa. 3. Politics of government. Parliamentary Republic. South Africa has a multi-party parliamentary system. President, the head of state and government. 9 provinces. The country is divided into 9 provinces, each with its own government and administration. Constitutional Court plays a crucial role in upholding the Constitution and safeguarding human rights. 4. Culture and people. Multi-ethnic population. South Africa is home to a diverse population, primarily comprised of Black Africans, Zulus, Xhosa, Sotho, etc. represent the largest group. White South Africans. Descendants of European settlers. Coloureds, people of mixed ancestry. Indians, descendants of indentured laborers brought in during the 19th century. Language. South Africa has 11 official languages: Afrikaans, English, Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, Venda, Ndebele, Swati, and Sepedi. Music and art. A rich musical and artistic tradition influenced by diverse cultures. Think of genres like Kwaito, Makanda, and contemporary South African artists. Cuisine, a melting pot of flavors, with influences from African, European, and Asian cuisines. Braai, barbecue, bobotie, a spiced meat dish, and bunny chow, a curry served in a hollowed-out loaf of bread, are popular dishes. 5. Economy. Mixed economy. South Africa has a mixed economy with a significant mining sector. Gold, platinum, diamonds. Challenges. Despite being one of Africa's largest economies, South Africa faces significant challenges, including high unemployment, inequality, and poverty. 6. Key attractions and tourism. Kruger National Park, one of the largest game reserves in Africa, offering incredible wildlife viewing opportunities. Cape Town, a vibrant city known for Table Mountain, beautiful beaches, Robben Island where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned, and its rich culture. Garden route, scenic drives, hiking, and coastal activities. Winelands, world-renowned wine regions like Stellenbosch and Franschhoek. Drakensberg Mountains, hiking, adventure sports, and stunning scenery. Resources for further learning. Official tourism website, https://www.southafrica.net/right_open bracket 8.
Okay. So quite interesting. I feel like the information that it was giving was accurate to my knowledge. It wasn't talking nonsense to us, which I'm happy with. Even though it was a basic question, I'm just having a look at what Gemini had to say also. So, how did ours start off? So Gemini has geography and climate. Mzansi AI has geography and landscape. So location, landform, climate. So this tells you about the different things. Intro to South Africa. The history. So it also has history next. So the ancient history. So that's the same, the indigenous people that Mzansi AI is speaking about. Then I feel, I don't want to brag or anything, but I like the way that Mzansi AI laid things out to us. You see, they speak about the Boer War, and I don't know, it's just formatted nice. I don't know why. And this is supposed to be, I think inside here it has the namings, and you see all of that information is there also. Is there any questions that anyone has to ask for Mzansi AI today? I'm quite happy with this answer. We'll ask a more complex question, maybe. I'm trying to think what to ask it. I think another easy one. So we'll do a programming one, right? And then we'll just verify it with Gemini to see if everything is good over there. So I'll start a new chat. So what I like to do with AIs is not to use the exact same chat all the time. because it'll start mixing up topics and it'll start hallucinating a little bit more. So what we want to do is we'll start a new chat. We'll just click on the floating menu button and we'll say new chat. And we'll ask it the question, please, hello, please generate Python code to maybe print the nth Fibonacci sequence. So there, you see, it's not even asking us, it's not even doing an intro for us now, which I like. It's just getting straight to the point of here's what you're looking for. So I won't click on the plus or the speaker icon because I don't want it speaking code to us. So just looking at this code now, let's see. The nth, okay, args is this. Okay, nth, return 0, return 1. Plus B, return B. I have no idea. Let's click on the plus, or let's save this, and let's try and copy this information. Let's copy it, and then I'll put it into Gemini to just say verify if everything is looking good with this. I know this is an easy question, but let me know I can't think of anything else at the moment. Is that all? Print, yeah. Oh, let's so shift enter. Please review the above and let me know your thoughts. And then we'll listen to what Gemini has to say. Is it done? Yep, it's done. Read aloud. So we'll wait for it. Yo, it's taking a long time to think. I think it's because whatever system they're using to get that natural voice out takes some processing time on their side.
Here's a review of your Fibonacci _NTH function, along with some thoughts and potential improvements. Review of Fibonacci _NTH N. Pros. Correctness. The function correctly calculates the north Fibonacci number using an iterative approach. Efficiency. For its purpose, for typical input sizes, the iterative approach is efficient as it avoids the exponential time complexity of a naive recursive solution, which recalculates values multiple times. Its time complexity is O(n), and space complexity is O(1). Readability. The code is clear and easy to understand. The variable names A and B for the previous two Fibonacci numbers are standard and intuitive. Edge cases handled. It correctly handles n equals O and n equals 1. Minor considerations, thoughts. Docstring clarity. The docstring says, starting from 0. This is good, but it's worth noting that there are different conventions for Fibonacci sequences. Some start with f_1 equals 1, f_2 equals 1.
I was diving into details about what the Fibonacci sequence is all about. So I think it is quite accurate. So I'm looking at what Gemini is telling us to do over here. So if not instance, so it's handling more edge cases over here. So if n is not an int, so that's just exception handling, and then everything else seems to be fine over here. They remove the comments, so that's fine. So I think so even though that was an easy programming question, it does assist you, or it does. It is accurate enough. Is there any other questions that we can think of? So not like what is it? Up to date questions like what is the weather today? Things like that won't work because it doesn't. I think if we ask it over here, let's refresh this. How up to date is your data? We'll ask the same thing to Gemini and see what Gemini is saying. How up to date is your data? Well, this is what I like about the Mzansi AI. It's almost instant when it starts speaking. Even though the voice is not so nice, it's still
Okay, let's talk about how
almost
up-to-date
immediate.
my knowledge is. As of today, November 2, 2023, here's the breakdown. My core knowledge base, I was trained on a massive dataset of text and code. My knowledge cutoff is September 2021. This means I have information about events, discoveries, and developments up to that point in time. Real-time information, limited. I can access and process information from Google search in real time. This is a crucial distinction. Here's how it works. When you ask me a question that requires current information, like what's the weather in London today or what's the latest news on topic, I utilize Google search to provide you with the most up-to-date answer. However, I don't remember the search results. Each time you ask me a question requiring current information, I perform a new search. Key takeaways. I'm not a continuously updated, lit feed of information. I rely on Google search for current events and facts for historical information or topics before September 2021. I'm a reliable source for current events. Always double check my answers with a reputable news source. Important disclaimer, I am an AI and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. To help me give you the most relevant information, could you tell me what you'd like to know? For example, are you interested in a specific historical event, a current news story, a general question about a topic?
You see, so this one, or the Mzansi AI, because it doesn't have access to real-time or up-to-date information, it says that the information cutoff is 2021, and it thinks today is November 2nd, 2023. So you can see that the information that it was trained on is quite old in, it's quite old in relative terms, right? So, and then when we asked Gemini what's it all about, it was telling you stuff about it being real-time information, continuous updates. And this is because this is their flagship. This is what's replacing Google search, right? So that's why it's more up-to-date and all of those kind of things. But speaking about historic facts, something interesting popped into my mind now. So what we can think of is how, let's say, how do you think the Great Pyramids were built? Nice. I like that it says it wasn't just slaves, because a lot of people say like, nah, it was just a bunch of slaves and the slaves did it. So I'm glad that it wasn't only that. Let's listen to what's it saying. Let me know, please fact check me in the comments on any of the platforms if it's accurate or not.
Okay, let's tackle one of the biggest mysteries in human history, how the Great Pyramids of Giza were built. The short answer is, we still don't know exactly, but archaeologists and engineers have developed increasingly sophisticated theories based on evidence and experimentation. Here's a breakdown of what we believe happened, incorporating the latest thinking. 1. The workforce. It wasn't just slaves. Contrary to popular belief, the most persistent myth is that the pyramids were built entirely by a vast army of enslaved people. Recent evidence strongly suggests this isn't the case. Skilled labor, archaeological discoveries, including worker villages, bakeries, breweries, and cemeteries nearby, indicate a workforce of skilled laborers, craftsmen, engineers, and supervisors. These workers were likely paid with food, lodging, and possibly beer and organized into organized crews. Egypt was a highly organized society. The pharaoh's power extended to controlling labor, and he likely had a system of taxation where people were obligated to contribute their time to public work. Seasonal labor. There is evidence to suggest workers came from across Egypt, potentially during the annual Nile flood season when farming was impossible. 2. Moving the blocks. Multiple methods. This is the most debated aspect. Several theories exist, and it's likely a combination of techniques were used. The ram theory, most widely accepted today, straight ram, initially a large, straight ram built of mud brick and rubble was likely used to haul the blocks up to the layers of the pyramid. This would have been incredibly labor-intensive, especially for the higher courses spiral ram, internal and external. As the pyramid grew, rams were likely added around the pyramid's sides, spiraling upwards. Evidence of possible remnants of such ramps has been found. Some theories propose an internal spiral ramp within the pyramid itself. Lever systems, simple levers were undoubtedly used to maneuver blocks into position. Experiments have shown this is a surprisingly effective method. Wet sand, recent research suggests the Egyptians may have used wet sand to lubricate the ramps, reducing friction and making it easier to move the heavy blocks. 3. Shaping and precision, incredible engineering. Wooden tools, copper chisels, saws, and drills would have been used for initial shaping. Stone tools, harder stone tools, dolerite, would have been used for finer work. Water leveling systems. The Egyptians were masters of surveying and leveling. They used a water leveling system, a trough filled with water, to ensure.
So I think that is enough of that. I don't know. So what the things are telling me over here is the standard mainstream theory about how they built the pyramid. So I feel like it is accurate. Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments what you think. Is it accurate? Is it not accurate? Is it doing nonsense or not? Right? But I think it's quite accurate. On the thing slide, so you can see we have lubrication again also. We have a sled and waterways, lifting and placing stones. So I feel like it's coming along. Slowly but surely, Mzansi AI is getting smarter. Something that we can use more often. What other questions can we ask it? What are you guys thinking of the accuracy of how Mzansi AI works, the speed of it, all of those kind of things? Drop a question. Let me check if there's any questions in the chat right now. Nice. Nothing at the moment. So another question. This is something that I wanted to do also. So I'll go over to Gemini and then I'll ask it the question. Please give me some questions and answers so that I can test the intelligence of an LLM. Okay, I like this. There's a few questions over here that we can ask it. And I think it progressively gets harder and harder each time, right? So let's start off with category 1. So it's a basic, hopefully it doesn't fail. Don't laugh, guys, if it fails. So let's copy this over, paste, not print, paste. So the first question that we're going to ask it to test out the knowledge or the intelligence of the Mzansi AI is, what is the capital of France? So the capital of France is Paris. The first question is correct. The next one is, who wrote Romeo and Juliet? Send.
Romeo and Juliet was written by William Shakespeare. It's one of his most famous and beloved tragedies. Do you want to know anything specific about the play, like its plot, characters, or themes?
Nice, it got that one correct also. Remember, this is stage 1, the easy thing, so we'll move over to the next question. This is a chemistry question, but an easy chemistry question. The question is, what is the chemical symbol for water, which is H2O, right? So let's send it. Yep. Accurate, you can see it over there. Is H2O, so it got that correct. The next one, what year did the first human land on the moon? Alright. The first human landed on the moon in 1969. That's the year that my father was born, 1969. So you can see 1969 is correct. So in category 1 that Gemini gave us, it got everything correct so far. Let's move on to category 2, reading comprehension and information extraction. So this one is a little bit more complex, as you can see over here. So it's a huge paragraph that's out here. Question: read the following passage, everything over here, and then based on the passage, what is the significant environmental issue in the Amazon rainforest? Right? It's starting to get more spicy, guys. The answers are getting a little bit more spicy. So I'll paste that in and I'll send. Deforestation. Oh my word, look. So you can see deforestation is the one. Is deforestation. If you look at the answer over there, deforestation. So clearly it has the ability to extract information from a text and give it to us. Let's have another one, copy. Let's paste it in. So this one over here is, according to the passage, where does the Amazon rainforest primarily extend? So I'm not even giving it the passage again. So now it's testing to see if it can remember things from way back. So I'll send it. So according to that, it extends much of the northeastward Brazil and extends Colombia, Peru, and other South American countries, which is almost exactly what Gemini is asking it, right? So clearly things are looking good so far. So passage 2 or category 2, it read everything. So it was able to recall factual and basic information, right? So factual recall and basic knowledge information, it passed that step or that category. The next category was reading comprehension and information extraction. It passed that. The next one is logical reasoning and problem solving. Where is that? There's logical reasoning and problem solving. So the first question over there is, if a dog, let's see, copy, if dogs are mammals. So if all dogs are mammals and all mammals are animals, then are all dogs animals, right? So it's like logic, testing to see if it's smart enough to understand the sentence. And with speed, absolutely yes. This is a classic example of a logic. So it's even telling us what I'm trying to test it for, right? So things are looking good. It's passing all the tests so far. Let's go to the next question. So even in the chat, so before I even ask Mzansi AI, let's do this. So before I ask Mzansi AI, let's see if we know the answer for it, right? So John is taller than Mary. Mary is taller than Tom. Is John taller than Tom? So it should be yes, right? John is taller than Mary. Mary is taller than Tom. Is John taller than Mary? Yes. It should be yes. Let me know in the chat if you think the answer is yes. Let's send it. So this is a tricky question. Based on the information given, we cannot definitely say if John is taller than... So it didn't pass this one. Very interesting. I wonder why. This only tells us John and Mary are both taller than Tom. Doesn't tell a relationship between... Okay, I think it failed this one. So category 3, the logic, it failed it again. Let me see, please try again. So you see now it corrected itself in this instance. I'm not sure why it got it wrong. Is it because I have lots of chat information over there, but it shouldn't be that. But why did it get it wrong the first time? Quite interesting. Quite interesting. The next question is, if you have 5 apples and you give away 2, how many apples do you have left? Nice. So it does know some mathematics, right? So it can give you the answer 3. Even though it's basic mathematics, it's still there, right? Let's see. So this one is, what is the next sequence or something like that. So we have, what is the next number in the sequence 2468? Let's send it. The next number in the sequence is 10, and it's 10. So, and it even explained each thing was moving up by 2 times, or 2 each time. So out of category 3, out of the 4 questions in category 3, it got 3 right and 1 wrong, but then we asked it to double check its answer and then it got it right again. I'm not sure why. I've noticed that with other LLMs also, but very interesting why it got it wrong. So we'll move on to category 4. Category 4 is common sense and real world understanding. So you can see as we go further down the categories, it is starting to get more and more interesting, more and more complex. More knowledge is required. So I'm not going to clear the chat. I want to see what's it like right at the end of all our categories and all our questions, to see if having a long chain of chat does affect the LLM or not. Let me know, have you tested out Mzansi AI yet? So let's see. Sorry, that question was, why do people carry umbrellas when it rains? Let's listen.
That's a great question. People carry umbrellas when it rains for a few key reasons. Protection from the rain. The primary reason is to shield themselves from the falling rain, keeping them dry. Protection from the sun. Surprisingly, umbrellas aren't just for rain. They also provide shade and protection from the sun's rays, reducing glare and heat. Social convention. Carrying an umbrella has become a social norm in many places, especially in areas with frequent rainfall. It's simply expected behavior. Do you want to delve deeper into any of these reasons, perhaps discussing the history of umbrellas or different types of umbrellas?
So it got it correct. Protection from the rain, protection from the sun, social conventions, I guess. So like for fashion purposes. So on Gemini's side, the answer was to stay dry, to protect themselves from the rain. So it does have that answer, but it elaborated to protect from the sun also, and also just for vibes, right? So that's exactly what it was saying over here. I mark that as a win. The next one is, if you are hungry, what is a common solution?
A very common solution to being hungry is to eat something. Whether it's a snack, a meal, or just a few bites, eating is the typical response to feeling hunger. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. Would you like to talk about food, different types of food, or maybe even cooking?
I love it. I love how Mzansi AI asks you, do you want to dive deeper on this topic? Not just give you, eat something and then call it a day, finish it. I like how it's saying, oh, do you want to dive deeper? What kind of food do you want to speak about? Maybe some recipes, all of these kind of things, right? I like how what's it saying over here. And that answer was also correct. So the last question in category 4 is, let's have a look. The question is, what or why is it important to look both ways before crossing the street, right? Let's hear what it says.
It's incredibly important to look both ways before crossing the street because it's about safety. Here's why. Vehicles are moving, cars, trucks, buses, and motorcycles are constantly moving and may not always see pedestrians' blind spots. Drivers have blind spots, areas they can't see due to the car's structure and mirrors unexpected movement. People and animals can suddenly appear in the street. Looking both ways ensures you're aware of any approaching traffic and gives you time to react and avoid a collision. It's a simple habit that can save your life. Do you want to talk about road safety, traffic rules, or anything related to that?
Love it, Mzansi AI. Love it. So it's correct because you'll get hit by a car. To avoid getting hit by a car, to ensure safety. That was the answer. So everything in category 4 is successful. So from category 1, which is factual recall and basic knowledge, everything correct. Comprehensive reading and information extraction, everything correct. Logical reasoning and problem solving, this one over here was where it got 1 wrong, 1 out of the 4 wrong, and that was if John is taller than Mary, Mary is taller than Tom, is John taller than Tom? So I'll scroll back up to it so you can see it. So you can see here, it got the answer wrong. It basically said I don't have enough information to give you an answer, right? And that is incorrect. It got enough information to get the answer. I said please try again, and then it gave me the correct answer. Look at this, I got tripped up by overthinking it. Oh my word. So silly. And then category 4 was common sense and real world understanding. So does it understand like what our world looks like, because it's just a computer inside a server, or it's just a software inside a server? Does it know the real world? So it got everything correct over there. The next one is creative writing and generation. So this one over here is, let's click on it. Write a short 2-sentence story about a talking cat. So can it generate text or generate a story for us? That's only, can it follow the instructions of specifically 2 sentences, and does it speak about a talking cat? Let's send it. So let's listen.
Jasper the tabby wasn't known for his hunting skills, but he was quite the conversationalist, often commenting on the neighborhood's gossip. Honestly, he purr, MRS. Higgins Prize-winning roses are simply dreadful this year.
So I guess it's right. So this is build question expected whiskers. So let me know in the chat. Ask it. Sorry, Jay. What am I asking it? Let me know. Can you identify and explain? Yo, I see you asking some hectic questions over here. Love it. So let me type that out. Can you identify and explain the, what is this word? Intricate, comma, non-linear, am I spelling that correct? Linear, casual relationships between, what is this? Yo, coming with those deep questions, love it. A hypothetical global consciousness, a collective emergent property of human thoughts. I truly believe in this, and experiences. And the evolution of human languages, of human language specifically the development of abstract. Thank you so much for the what's at the hot me? Abstract concepts and sorry, TikTok is making me do a puzzle right now. Oh my word. And the concepts and Metaphors. Cool. Quite a complex question. I love it. And personally, I do believe that there's a emergent knowledge above us. I call it the all. I'll show you what book I've read about that from. But let's send this. And then we'll give it some time to think. And I think this is the last question that we'll ask it for this live session. And then maybe tomorrow we'll continue with the questions to test out if it is smart or not. But Jay, here's the answer to your question.
Okay, this is a fascinating and incredibly complex thought experiment. Let's unpack the potential intricate, non-linear causal relationships between the hypothetical global consciousness, let's call it nexus, and the evolution of human language, specifically regarding abstract concepts and metaphors. It's going to be largely speculative, but we can build a plausible framework. Here's a breakdown of the connections, acknowledging the inherent difficulty of proving such a theory. 1. Nexus as an initial catalyst, early stages. Increased resonance, nexus, initially a weak signal, begins to amplify as more humans experience and reflect on fundamental questions: existence, morality, beauty, pain. This amplified resonance starts subtly influencing individual thoughts, shared anomalies, individuals encountering similar anomalies, moments of profound insight, feelings of interconnectedness, or intense emotional experiences would begin to share these through communication. Nexus isn't creating these thoughts, but it's dramatically increasing their probability and interconnectedness. Proto-concepts. These shared experiences led to the formation of rudimentary proto-concepts, very basic ideas about things like good, bad, fear, safety, connection, separation. 2. Language as a conduit and amplifier, mid-stages. Metaphorical bridging. As language developed, metaphors became more prevalent. Nexus would subtly influence the selection of metaphors. If a significant number of people were experiencing feelings of being trapped, the language would shift to metaphors of confinement, for example, cage, darkness. Nexus isn't dictating these metaphors, but it's dramatically increasing their appeal and likelihood of adoption. Synchronized cognitive shifts, the most fascinating aspect. As language evolved, so too did the ability to process abstract concepts. Nexus could potentially accelerate this process by creating conditions for synchronized cognitive shifts. Groups of people tackling the same complex problem, like the nature of time or the concept of infinity, would experience an amplified convergence of thought, leading to faster and more sophisticated understanding. Emotional feedback loops. Language isn't just a tool for describing the world, it shapes our perception of it. Nexus could subtly reinforce certain emotional states through language, creating feedback loops. For example, if a large number of people were experiencing feelings at home, the language would shift to reflect this, further strengthening that emotion. 3. Nexus of complex metaphorical systems, later stages. Holistic thinking. Nexus could potentially enable humans to develop more holistic ways of thinking, moving beyond linear, cause and effect relationships. This would be reflected in increasingly complex and layered metaphors that connect seemingly disparate ideas. Emergent narratives. Nexus could contribute to the emergence of shared narratives and mythologies, providing a framework for understanding the world and our place in it. These narratives would constantly evolve, shaped by the collective experiences of humanity. Non-linearity and causality. Crucially, this isn't a linear causal chain. Nexus doesn't cause language to develop, but it acts as an accelerant and resonator. Human creativity and cultural evolution still play a vital role. The connections are constantly shifting and reinforcing each other. Important caveats. This is a highly speculative concept. We lack any empirical evidence to support it. Alternative explanations. The evolution of language can be explained through purely social, biological, and cognitive factors. Would you like me to delve deeper into a specific aspect of this concept?
Yo, Jay, I hope that answered your question because I think all of this went over my head. It was speaking about Nexus, it was speaking about a whole lot of different things that I'm not sure about. Okay, there's it over here. So it called a global consciousness, the Nexus, right? So Jay, let me know, is it correct or not? Is it telling us the correct things? Because damn, it definitely flew over my head. It definitely flew over my head. But let's flip our cameras over from here and here. Cool. So it was quite a good session today. We were having a look at just testing out the Mzansi AI after or post the migration to the new MIH server. We're just testing out the intelligence to see what's it like. We asked Gemini, another large language model, to generate some questions to test the knowledge of our LLM, right? So far, we're on category 5 out of 7, and so far it got all questions correct except for one. We prompted again to say, hey, try again, and it got the question correct, right? So far so good. Tomorrow we will continue working on it, and you can also see by our last question that was suggested by Jay that it can it can answer complex questions like complex thought experiments and stuff also, but testing the accuracy of this, like it said in the beginning, it's very speculative and there's no real answer for it. It's just a thought experiment. But I am quite impressed with it, the speed and the accuracy of the model. So I am comfortable using it going forward now. But we'll continue the testing tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live today. We appreciate it. Some good work done. We're going to continue. Thank you so much, Jay, for sorting out or sending us a bug that you found. We fixed that bug already on, I think, the same day. I think it was Monday when I read it, or not Monday, Tuesday when I read it. And I managed to fix it. Thank you so much for looking out for us. Things were, yeah, we fixed that. Now we're just working on a few other bugs that we found across MIH. So we're just cleaning things up, making sure everything is working fine and smooth. So that's what our plan is for this week. But again, tomorrow we're going to test out the accuracy of our LLM with the remaining 2 categories, and then maybe we'll ask it something else, something a little bit more complicated. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live. I really appreciate it, and let's keep working hard, Mzansi.